Every job comes with its risks, but some professions are more hazardous than others. Across the globe, certain jobs expose workers to dangerous environments, harsh weather conditions, heavy machinery, or heights, making them far riskier than average occupations. Without wasting any more time, let's dig right in. Kicking off this video with one of the world's most dangerous professions. Logging. We all know that working as a lumberjack has been glorified in Hollywood films for decades. However, the truth is that the job is easily one of the world's most dangerous. The main risks stem from the fact that loggers often work from heights, which can lead to severe falls. They also must contend with falling trees, which can crush them if they misjudge where the trees will land. When you further consider that inclement weather, a fast-paced environment, and rough terrain all increase the risk level, it becomes clear that the life of a lumberjack is far from luxurious. Up next on the list, we have firefighters. While firefighting is, unsurprisingly, extremely risky, the dangers go far beyond the massive flames and falling debris encountered when battling a fire. This is because the fumes released during a fire can be even more dangerous. In fact, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health found that firefighters have more than double the risk of developing both testicular cancer and mesothelioma due to their exposure to these fumes. As a result, it's fair to say that fighting flames is a risky game when it comes to your health. Moving on, next on the list are infantry soldiers. It should come as no surprise that working at any military level involves major risks. However, few military positions are as rough as infantry soldiers. Typically at the bottom rung of the military hierarchy, these are the soldiers who do all of the hands-on work, interacting with locals, patrolling hostile areas, and engaging in firefights. When we further consider that these everyday dangers often lead to conditions such as PTSD, which in extreme cases can result in suicide, it becomes clear that this job certainly isn't for everyone. But moving on next, we have those who work as police officers. Fighting crime is no easy task, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that working as a police officer is far from safe. One of the most obvious dangers comes from the criminals they apprehend, as these individuals are sometimes willing to use deadly force to escape arrest. Beyond this, there are also risks associated with driving a police car, as accidents can easily occur during anything from a high-speed chase to an everyday situation. As a result, being part of the police force is definitely dangerous. The next entry on the list is roofers. Unsurprisingly, roofing isn't exactly one of the safest jobs out there. After all, roofers are required to work at heights for hours on end. Especially on long, hot summer days, it's not uncommon for roofers to fall from the roofs they're working on due to a small slip or trip. While these accidents could be avoided if roofers wore personal protective equipment, many either choose not to or are not supplied with it, making the job far more dangerous than it needs to be. Rooftops are filled with other hazards that may not be immediately obvious. For example, many don't realize that the overhead electrical and telephone wires hanging over houses can be extremely dangerous. Just one accidental touch could result in electrocution. Additionally, the black tar used in roofing isn't exactly healthy. Prolonged exposure or ingestion can lead to serious health problems down the line. When you consider that, despite all these risks, roofers only earn about $40,000 per year. It becomes clear that the risk involved in roofing is probably not worth the reward. But moving on, next we have garbage collectors. Although the job of your neighborhood garbage collector may seem more dirty than dangerous, working in waste management is far from safe. With a death rate about twice that of police officers, it's not the stench that poses the greatest risk, but rather the contents of the garbage they handle. Since most items are wrapped in garbage bags, it can be difficult for workers to see exactly what's being thrown away. As a result, they face dangers such as glass shards flying out of bags, corrosive materials being compacted inside the truck, or hazardous chemicals leaking onto their skin. Garbage collectors must be prepared for anything and everything. Despite earning a respectable salary, about $60,000 per year in some municipalities, just one bad bag is all it takes for a serious, potentially fatal accident to occur. Up next, we have construction workers. If you've ever laid eyes on a construction site, you'll be well aware that they are not exactly the safest workspaces. While the risks are plentiful, one of the most glaring is the threat of falling. After all, while construction workers are usually mandated to wear personal protective equipment, PPE, they often don't, making a fall from a building ledge, ladder, or truck potentially deadly. However, there are many other on-site injuries in which even PPE wouldn't be able to keep you safe. The most notable include electrocution from unprotected wires, being hit by a heavy object such as a piece of drywall, or being trapped between two objects being pushed together. Yet, beyond these immediate dangers, there is also the long-term risk of lung cancer and other respiratory problems caused by inhaling residues from building materials such as gypsum dust, fiberglass, and wood shavings. As a result, working in construction is easily one of the riskiest jobs out there. Next, we have landscapers. Although cutting grass or trimming a hedge isn't likely to harm you in any significant way, it turns out that landscapers have one of the most dangerous jobs out there. Surprisingly, most of the danger comes not from their physical work, but from the amount of driving they do between work sites. Landscapers typically move from client to client throughout the day, and the significant time they spend on the road makes them highly susceptible to traffic accidents. These workers also frequently use power tools, which pose a risk of electrocution if not handled carefully. To make matters worse, landscapers sometimes use dangerous chemicals such as pesticides to spray the lawns they work on, which have the potential to poison them if not handled properly. As a result, the unfortunate reality is that across the United States, landscapers are 5 times more likely to die on the job than the average worker. And moving on, we have underwater welders. Working with power tools is already dangerous enough, but adding an underwater element makes the job significantly riskier. Underwater welders face 2 main categories of risk: those associated with deep-sea diving and those related to welding itself. Regarding diving, these welders routinely contend with decompression sickness caused by surfacing too quickly, hypothermia from cold temperatures, and the constant risk of drowning due to faulty equipment. As for the welding process, underwater welders face the threat of explosions and electrocution. The arc of the blowtorch can behave erratically underwater, and one wrong move can cause a dangerous part of the machinery to burst apart. As a result of these extreme hazards, underwater welding is a profession reserved for highly trained specialists. And finally, the most dangerous job in the world is being an astronaut. Despite being some of the most highly trained professionals on the planet, astronauts face some of the most extreme dangers imaginable. 2 main hazards make this profession incredibly risky: physical space launches and radiation exposure. The dangers of space launches are well known. Anyone who has seen the Challenger or Columbia disasters knows that even the smallest malfunction can cause a spacecraft to explode. However, what many don't realize is that astronauts are also subjected to immense radiation exposure while in space. According to NASA, astronauts receive radiation levels equivalent to between 150 and 6,000 chest X-rays, depending on the length of their mission. Prolonged exposure to this radiation significantly increases their risk of cancer. Beyond that, spending extended periods in microgravity has severe effects on the human body. Without gravity, astronauts experience muscle atrophy, bone deterioration, and shifts in brain fluid, all of which can cause long-term health issues. Yet, the physical dangers aren't the only challenges astronauts face. Their mental health is also put to the test. The intense training, constant pressure, and long isolation in space can lead to extreme stress and burnout. In addition, astronauts are often under public scrutiny, further increasing the pressure on them to perform at an exceptionally high level. When you take all of these factors into account, it becomes clear that being an astronaut is one of the most demanding and dangerous jobs in the world. That's all we have for you in this video. Let us know in the comments which job you thought was the most dangerous. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you never miss out on our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.